Hi everyone, it's Monday at the Mystical Magical Mansion and such an exciting video I'm sharing with you guys this week. It's the final kitchen reveal. It is done and I am so excited to share it with you. For those of you who are tuning in for the first time, my name is Kim. My husband Ryan and I bought this beautiful old home here in the historic Gold Coast neighborhood of Omaha, Nebraska, just over a year ago, and we have been sharing all of our adventures, DIYs, and some history each week. And this week is huge. We've been following the whole journey of our kitchen transformation since September. So we are now almost Christmas. We're just a week away from Christmas, and it has been just quite a process. For any of you who have done big rooms like kitchens, you know how daunting it can be. So I cannot say enough praise to the construction company that we used, Cornerstone Remodeling. They were absolutely fantastic to use. And so if anyone is here in Omaha, Cornerstone Remodeling, Aaron and his crew are just wonderful. And they were craftsmen and kind humans and just a really lovely bunch of people to work with. So thank you to Cornerstone Remodeling. And then our electrician was Frederick with Frederick Electric, and their crew was fantastic. And then we also used Exspurt Plumbing, little pun spelling there. And in old houses and historic homes, it's always challenging, first of all, to get someone willing to work on this. And second of all, to find craftsmen and people who do a great job in honoring the history of the house as well as making it functional and current. But we did not want this to be a sleek, modern looking kitchen. So first and foremost, we'll just get kind of the long look. We just made one really huge difference, was to change the island. So in some of the before video, which I'll show you. So here's the view of the kitchen again, just a little bit different angle. So there'll still be a stove and storage over on this wall. Behind that, there is actually a chimney. We do know that that is from the blueprints, goes all the way up the side of the house. And then there was actually a cook stove below it in the basement. And so there is a chimney that goes all the way up to outside of the house. So we'll be putting a new vent in there, and a vent hood, and new cabinet. And then it obviously goes into the butler's pantry. We will not be changing anything in the butler's pantry other than closing that space off and sealing up the cabinets so that they are separate. And I'll just come in here so you can kind of see that. And yes, it's a mess, people. This is real life. So we've got those cabinets emptied out, all of the china and dishes and everything, so that they can repair that wall and then seal that up. And then kind of just be doing new floors, paint. If you look up, it's a very high ceiling. We'll be putting 2 pendant lights over that will be suspended from up here down over the new island, and then putting up a crown molding. You can see that there was a tall kitchen island, and it came up to really about my chest, and it split the room in half. So just taking that out and giving ourselves a flat countertop to work with was like a giant transformation. We also used the original blueprints to look and see how this kitchen was originally laid out. And there was a stove in the past. There's also a chimney behind there. So there was, a big cook stove there. The sink was on the east wall where it is now. And this would have been just like a big harvest table or a work table. And so we went back to that philosophy in making it the best use of space, and also taking it back to its history, taking it back to day one. So when we changed out the flow just a little bit, it made it much more functional. So we have had Thanksgiving dinner here, which sort of happened at a very breakneck pace. Those guys didn't have the kitchen finished, but it was functional. And we've had a holiday open house here, and we've had groups of people, and there's actually flow. Before, everything just kind of was bottlenecked in this space, and then the dishwasher and the stove, the doors kind of came together. It was just not a great flow. So now it flows openly. The cabinets, you can see we have storage going way up high, so lots of high storage, which is wonderful. And we put in new flooring, so we had a dark cherry wood looking floor that really just absorbed a lot of light. And so adding all that just makes it seem much brighter. The other thing that we did that I thought was just an absolute must was to add crown molding to the room. So as you can look up, that crown molding was an addition, and Nate from Cornerstone Remodeling is such a craftsman and such a carpenter. He just did it perfectly. And there, like lots of old houses, there's not a straight edge or corner to any part of this house. And so he really had to work very hard to do that, and also to take it around the mini split up there. We did add pendant lighting and then the beautiful tile backsplash. So let's come a little closer and take a look at that. So originally I had thought I wanted to use blue and white Delft tile as my backsplash. And so I looked and tried to source it and find, you know, exactly the right fit, and it just was not coming out. And so wanting to stay neutral but still make it look historic, like sort of like we found these tiles in the basement, or perhaps when we were, you know, tearing things out, we found these under a layer of old drywall or something. I found these and they're actually from Wayfair, but if you look closely, each one is distressed in a unique way. So whatever treatments they do to them, each and every tile, even if there's 4 different patterns, each one is distressed differently. So they look old, they look original to the house, they look really beautiful, but they're a new tile and they're washable. And so I absolutely love them. I think they are just perfect, and they add texture and character and, you know, different shades. And so they're a neutral, but at the same time, they're not neutral at all. So I think that that's a really perfect combination. And then just we went with a very beautiful old granite and with a little bit of character. So we want this to feel, you know, very like it could have been here the entire time this house has existed. And you can look at it here behind the stove. It just looks really beautiful here as well. And then we had the under cabinet lighting to kind of highlight it a little bit. And we went with an electric stove. So you can see I went with a glass cooktop, and I had the stove the last time I did a kitchen remodel at our house out at the lake. And I love this stove, and it is because it's got a door that splits, or you can do the whole thing, but you put a plate in the middle. It has a big center tray, and it becomes a double oven. And so it's a double oven as well as a warming drawer below. And I mean, I use double ovens not very often, and when you do, they're great, but they're also super expensive, and we really needed to be highly aware of space and use of space. So this was a really good option for us. So I do like this stove. I don't mind that it's not gas. There were some issues with the gas line and different things up here, so we just opted to go ahead and go with the glass cooktop, and it's great. The vent hood I think is really pretty. It was a really beautiful, just sort of softened touch with all of these rectangles and straight lines. We needed to add a little bit of a curve. And then you can see the great big windows. Those are exactly the way they were before. We just don't have any curtains up on them right now, but I think they're just showcased a lot more, and there's so much light that comes in. It's really beautiful. One of the other really cool things that we did was this flooring. So we went with the hex tiles because originally we were going to go with the small ones that were like 1.5 inch, 2 inch tiles, and put those and did do like a black and white pattern in here. And then when I went to, you know, really look at it and lay it out, it was just too much. It was too much black and white, and it was very busy. And then with knowing how much slope and roll and how unlevel these floors are, they really, you know, professionals said that the amount of grout and all this stuff needed were going to be a nightmare. And so we went with these larger hex tiles. And for those of you who have grandchildren, these are the same flooring styles that they have in Coco Melon's family's house. So anyway, little subliminal marketing there perhaps. But we went with these tiles because the wood floor was so damaged and it was so unlevel. And this room was so cold, so we now have heated tile. So they put this beautiful little box over here that we can set what temperature we want the floors to be, and you know how warm or cool we want them to be, whether it's summer or winter. And we have it turned on right now, and it is really just such a noticeable difference when you walk from one area to the other. So we have it set up that where you work, where you're sitting, or where you're cooking, those areas are heated. Just by the back door and into the butler's pantry, it is not. So really was well worth the time, effort, and energy for them to do that. And I think it looks beautiful. And I will say, Nate and his crew had lasers and levels and things going all over the place to make sure it was just perfect. And just visually, the line that's created by this tile makes the room look twice as big. It's really kind of amazing. So one other really important bit of construction that we did to make the kitchen look bigger was my husband's suggestion. And I didn't think it was going to be that big of a deal when he suggested it, but now it has been huge in the transformation, was to take out the arch that was in this space. So there was an arched opening here. And originally from the blueprints, we know that this was a wall, there was a door here, and this led into the pantry of the kitchen. This door behind me was actually a window and wasn't made into a door and an entrance till the 1930s. So by opening this up and squaring it off, it made this room feel much more connected, less separate, and we have our refrigerator here, so it feels like a much easier flow to get to this space. We also have lots of cabinets around it, new storage, and when we opened this wall, discovered that there was zero insulation, which we knew because in old houses they don't have that, but just insulating this, sealing this up, and closing off this wall and then adding this, it has made it so much warmer and more efficient, but at the same time, it just makes the room look so much bigger. And then we removed the door over here. So if you see kind of at a distance here, there's the room, the tops of those things are squared off and level with each other. So this doesn't seem so odd. So there was a door here. So initially this was the entrance for the staff. The staff would have come up the sidewalk through the back door and then here, and then there was a door here that separated the kitchen from the entrance and then also the staff dining room. And so this door was removed, which also makes it flow a little bit more. It brightens things up tremendously and it made it much more efficient. So we took this out and put new cabinets here. And so they're really pretty, lots and lots of good storage. The cabinets that were there before were essentially for the staff to hang their coats, maybe put a few things in there, but they were mostly hanging cabinets, so they were not super spacious in their ability to store things. We also changed out, there was a big brown wooden door here that would have been originally an exterior door from the house. We changed out this door, made it more efficient, sealed it up, and then they put obviously this nice little tread down here so that the cold air can't rush in through here, which is what it did before with that wooden door. And then the door from here has been moved to the exterior door. So in its original state, that wooden door just goes from one exterior entrance to a different one. So it made it much more efficient, but it looks true to the period and true to the history of the house. So here's that wooden door that's been moved to the outside. So when we bought the house, it had basically two exterior screen doors. There was more of a security door and a screen door. So there was no way to keep any of the cool or cold air out. And this old porch was actually open originally. At some point has been closed up, but there's no insulation and no way to make it really energy efficient. But adding this door, one, makes it much more secure, but two, it also looks, I think, much more true to the history of the house. It looks pretty, and this is such a beautiful old door. Like, I love the, the fretwork and all of this, and they just painted it and made it look a little bit cuter. So I'm standing outside of the staff entrance. On the blueprints it says servants entrance, but they were paid staff, so we're going to call them staff. But they would have come up the sidewalk, and this is that exterior door, just looking at it from the outside. And it looks so beautiful, like it's always been here, but they had to take everything down to the brick, reframe the entire frame, reseal everything. Like, they created everything down to the nail. I mean, it took so much work just to get this thing framed into looking like it's always been here. So just, I mean, if you get a glance at it, it looks like it's always been here since 1910. Nothing's changed. The door's got some little dings and chips and things in it, but that gives it all the character. And then that's the original knob and lock on it. And we do have the key for it, which is pretty great. So yeah, we're really excited about it, how it came out, but man, it was a lot of work. Like, the craftsmanship The craftsmanship, the time involved, all of it to make this look like it's always been here was intense, and Nate and Darrel did an incredible job. Just so impressed, and I really love the way it looks. So we wanted to be really true to the style and the history of the house. And one of the elements that we could do that was by creating a replica of the woodwork and the trim. So this door had just a very narrow, simple casing on that had, happened when the remodel was done, probably in the 90s. And so Nate, the craftsman from Cornerstone Remodeling, took this casing and completely duplicated it from the casing that was on the opposite side of the wall. So this is actually 3 pieces of wood, and he painstakingly put this all together, and it looks exactly as if this has been here since the day it was built. And it is so beautiful, so lovely, just really transformed and, brought back all of that charm that old houses have. The trim, the floorboards were also replicated and made to look more true to history. Before, there was just that wide 6-inch plank with nothing on top or bottom, and so the quarter round and the top piece were added just to make it look, again, more historically accurate. As you can see, this flooring flows into the butler's pantry. And the butler's pantry is now back to its beautiful glory. We're using the cabinets again, and they're filled with beautiful, pretty dishes. Where all of the brown beadboard is, that had been the opening, that's been replaced. There was a pass-through cabinet here, and that has all been repaired and sealed back up. So I really like the way that came out. One of the things that I did, and you might have seen this in one of my old videos, is this actually is covered with a linoleum, this kind of linoleum that one would put on the floor. And so I covered this with contact paper. So this is just simple rolls of contact paper. And so we need to trim this up and kind of doll this up just a little bit. And at some point we'll probably put either a wood surface or granite or tile or something in here. But for right now, it was the right budget, the right product, and the right thing at the right time. So it does reflect nicely with the under cabinet lighting, and it looks really pretty, but I think it looks nice against that beadboard that's been replaced that we've used to close the wall. So right on the other side of here would be the sink and the dishwasher and that whole wall of cabinets. So when we did the kitchen transformation, the original plumbing was inside of this wall. And so that was great for the plumber to be able to just tie into existing pipes, even though they had to replace some of the old galvanized pipe. It made it simple because we had the blueprints and knew that this is where the sink was. One of the downsides to this kitchen is that it took a solid 5 minutes to get hot water. The path from the boiler, which is on the other side of the house, all the way around was just quite a long one. So one really smart thing I think we did was to add an on-demand hot water heater. And it's just a box that's probably 18 inches by 24 inches. It's not big, it's mounted on the wall below us, but it holds magically some amazing, talented box of hot water situations so that we can turn on the hot water, and we have hot water like that. So we're not wasting water. I always felt so guilty because I just had to leave my faucet running forever. So that was one of the things that I really thought was such a bright idea and has been a game changer for us. This is an actual look at the on-demand hot water heater. The plumbing goes up into the kitchen, and look at all this magnificent copper, the way this is all done. It's very cool. But this beautiful little box makes my house so much more energy and water efficient. I just absolutely love that we decided to do this, because I think it's so important to take good care of your house, but also to take good care of Mother Earth. For our lighting decision, we added these sort of brushed gold, old looking pendants, which look as though they were original to the house. I think they just look perfect in here. They give it such a nice warm glow, and the metal just looks old and very, true to the period. Just getting a look here at the center island, the beautiful granite. Just has a little texture and character to it. Really pretty. It looks like it could have been here since 1910 as well. So here are the knobs that we modeled our hardware off of in the kitchen. These knobs are on the cabinets in our living room, these big built-ins. So you can see there's all the original crystal knobs still perfectly intact here with that sort of brushed gold metal. So we definitely wanted to use this as our inspiration in the kitchen. Thank you all for following along, for sharing my kitchen experience with me. I'm so excited. To say that I am thrilled beyond belief with this kitchen is an understatement. I had a vision for it and I knew sort of how I wanted it to look, but it has really surpassed my expectations so much. And again, it is because of the craftsmen, the construction crew that we work with, the team that was, assembled together. They did such justice to this house. And when we bought this house, we knew it would be the very biggest and the most important project that we would do. And it's interesting, we moved in on September 16th of 2020, and the construction began on September 15th of 2021. So exactly a year to the day. It took them 3 months, and few hiccups and bumps and issues along the way, but really, all in all, it went exceptionally well, and we're so appreciative of how it looks and how it works. I mean, it just flows beautifully. So thank you for following along. Thank you for sharing in our journey. And as always, get out all of your good stuff. The holidays are here. Get out your best jewelry, your dishes, your plates, all of those things that make you feel like you're experiencing maybe some of the finer things in life. I say be unapologetically fancy, because you know what? There's no guarantee that we have a tomorrow. So let's use all the good stuff today, because you know what? We deserve it. So I wish you a wonderful week. I will see you next week. If you have not hit the like and subscribe button, please do that below. We like to keep you in the loop, and I don't want you to miss a thing. So take good care, and best wishes from the Mystical Magical Mansion.